for listening to Uncle Sam's Soccer Podcast, keeping you up to date with the latest in American soccer. And don't forget to subscribe.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Uncle Sam's Soccer Podcast. On this week's episode, we discuss Decision Day in MLS, and we look ahead to the playoffs. Plus, president and founder of Austin Anthem, formerly of MLS in Austin, Josh Babetski, calls in to give us the Austin perspective regarding the news about the Crew potentially staying in Columbus. And finally, it's another edition of the Counterattack with yours truly, Jake Watroba. And make sure you follow us on Twitter at UncSamSoccerPod. We always enjoy your feedback and comments, so continue to send them in. And don't forget, you can always find the show on any major podcast platform, including Spotify. We were recently added to Spotify, so if you get your podcasts on Spotify, make sure you follow us there. Now, let's get to today's show. Steven. Armand, how you guys doing today?
Doing wonderful. Let's go Red Sox, baby.
My mic isn't working, so I'm doing pretty well too.
Yeah, you had some technical difficulties today.
Oh man, I've had it all day. It's been a rough, I guess, 12 hours for me and my podcasting career, but I'm gonna make a big comeback. Comeback coming up. Before
we get into today's show, I just wanted to call out Steven on something.
Ooh. What?
I just want to say that for all the times you've ripped on baseball in the past,
oh my goodness,
for all the time you've said it's dying, for all the times that you've said it's boring and unwatchable, I don't think, if I was just meeting you for the first time today, I wouldn't know that you thought those things because supposedly you're the world's biggest Boston Red Sox fan.
Oh, he loves the Red Sox, baby. Chris Sale, #1. Let's go.
He has not said a single thing about the Red Sox since I joined the show in the spring.
Well, because the season is so long. Come on. I'm not going to sit here and break down game 123.
Well, no, you don't need to, but...
Well, 124.
Yeah, 120. But I just find it funny that baseball's dying, baseball's stupid. But the last 2 weeks you've been dialed into the Boston Red Sox postseason run.
Fine, I'm a pink hat. Okay, when it comes to baseball, yeah, I'm kind of a pink hat. I get it. I like the Red Sox. When they're in the playoffs, I love the Red Sox. Okay, that's how it is. Anyway, let's talk about MLS Decision Day. And Armand, you had some sort of party going on there.
I mean, I just went to go watch the game with some buddies. So yeah, I had like 4 or 5 screens set up. Watched Dallas choke. Watched Seattle get a game winner. Watched the Galaxy choke. I thought it was a pretty good decision day. I mean, you hate anything MLS related now, but
you can't put those words in my mouth.
No, he can. You're a Euro snob. It's okay.
Yeah, you're a Euro snob. Don't worry. You're reverting back to your roots.
Armand's an MLS fanboy, and Steven,
hey,
you only care about Hop Sweet and the Arsenal.
And the Revolution. Don't forget Bob Kraft.
No, you know what the funny thing is? I listened to the Revolution Montreal game today on the radio.
Why?
I wanted to take a nap. I figured I'd fall asleep.
Nap football.
That probably was really good nap football.
I woke up. They scored.
Considering that no one turns out for I'm sure nobody turns out for Revs games when they're out of contention, right? So I'm sure it was just kind of just this.
I bet you 18,000 showed up. So quite a bit of stuff happened around the league today. Guys, what do you think was the most surprising in regards to Decision Day? Was it the fact that the Galaxy choked? Or was it Atlanta choking the Supporters' Shield?
Ooh.
DC United hosting a playoff game after they were literally at the bottom of the league, like halfway through the summer?
I mean, for me, I would argue the biggest moment in decision day was when Seattle scored their game winner in the 93rd minute, and they jumped from the 4 to getting a bye. I think that was massive, and now that they're they're on 59 points of the second seed in the West after that garbage start. I think we were talking about it, Steven and Jake, how bad they were at the beginning, and now they won 14 of their last 16 games.
10 straight years in the playoffs too.
They're a true franchise that's modeled on success, and I thought like that, especially that last second goal by Rui Diaz. I mean, come on, that was fun and impressive.
Really, you thought that was a bigger deal than the Galaxy literally poo-pooing themselves in the middle of StubHub?
As a hashtag MLS fanboy, I mean, after watching so much of the Galaxy, it's what you expect. Their defense is awful. They just can't seem to get anything going. They racked up some wins late on, but that's not going to undo all the sins they had, and they choked away a 2-0 lead, and they just look bad. I mean, it's what we've seen all year from the Galaxy. They won't win. They won't have a clean sheet. They'll either blow out a team or like in like a 5-2, 5-3. It'll make a barn burner. So I'm not surprised at all. I don't think the Galaxy even deserve to make the playoffs, to be quite honest with you.
Oh, wow. Ibra still your MVP?
No.
Wayne Rooney?
Wayne Rooney or Joseph. We'll see.
All right. What about you, Jake? New York Red Bulls wins the Supporters' Shield 3 in 6 years. Is this meaningful for the Red Bulls? Because since they have a history of winning this thing 3 times in the last 6 years, to me, it is rather useless that they won this if they don't go on to win the MLS Cup.
Well, I kind of agree with you there, Chief. I mean, you're right. They don't win cups. So what does the Supporters' Shield really mean in the grand scheme of things? Great, you were the best team in the regular season. Now do something in the postseason. How many times? I mean, how many times we're going to clap for the Red Bulls and go, "Wow, look at the model franchise. Look at that. They're always good," and then they always find a way to bleep the bed.
No, you're right.
That's so Metro. And the thing is, the Supporters' Shield this year doesn't get them a CCL spot either. So it's kind of useless.
Atlanta United have quickly become like every other Atlanta franchise there is.
What, choke artists?
Choke artists. I mean, come on. How did they lose the Supporters' Shield in the spot they were in the middle of, say, July?
I thought Red Bull was a really overlooked team. I don't know about you, Jake, but I thought they've been good throughout the whole year, and no one's talked about them. They're even at first place. They've outplayed Atlanta both times they've played, but no one talks about them because they're not sexy. I don't know. Do you feel the same, Jake?
I agree with you. I do think they're overlooked to a certain extent now as I go back and praise them for for being overlooked and kind of being the little engine that could. If I recall,
don't forget they made a coaching change. They made a coaching change too.
They did, and I think you can also argue that maybe the coaching change in Atlanta may have had something to do with the players' performance.
Wait, Atlanta?
You mean Tata saying that he's not going to renew?
Yeah, I think you can also argue that may have had a negative impact on Atlanta down the stretch. But no, you're right. I mean, with Marsh leaving for Germany, I mean, that was definitely an obstacle New York had to overcome. And Armand, I believe I don't know, I can't recall if it was in the spring or early summer, you did say watch out for the Red Bulls. I don't think this is Atlanta's going to run away with the East, if I remember correctly.
Dude, I've been a Red Bull stan since day one. Everyone was like, wow, you like watching the Red Bulls? But I'm like, yes, I enjoy watching the way they press and the way they play. They're the best team in the East. They're the best team in MLS. Like, put it. I don't know if they'll win MLS Cup because, I mean, the playoffs are a completely different season, and you can't really take – I would say you can't really take regular season results into the postseason, to be quite honest with you. But I think they're the best team in MLS, and I've been saying that for the longest time. And I think the performance was I want to say it was back in April or something when they beat Atlanta the first time 3-1. That was, I think, the performance for me where I was like, wow, this team is going to win, can win MLS Cup and is better than Atlanta United. Just that's just my hot sports take right there.
Red Bulls do shatter the 70-point mark at 71.
Yeah, they're the most points in MLS, right? MLS history.
I just want to say, before I want to praise Atlanta again, because I think they had a really nice season. When you look at the point totals, I think they had a really nice season.
Oh, okay. I get it now. For all you listeners out there, I don't know what is going on today's episode, but NYCFC sit third. They did win today. They got a couple goals in the bag. With Patrick Vieira changing, it seems like the coaching change has negatively impacted the blue side of New York. Meanwhile, the coaching impact on the red side in New York didn't really make all that big of a difference.
Well, I mean, if you look at it, for me, I mean, the thing is, the NYC Atlanta game was actually really good. I mean, looking ahead, if NYC can knock out Philadelphia, which, I mean, they beat them today 3-1, right? Like they did pretty well. I would say, I mean, I don't think they're better than Atlanta or Red Bull. I think the only team out of that 6 that can really compete, or out of that group of 4 outside of Atlanta and Red Bull that can compete with them is DC. I think DC, Steven, you keep making this joke, or like I don't know if you're joking or serious, that DC and Seattle will play, but hey, man, it's
I did say that.
It's looking really likely. I mean, I hate to be that guy, but DC's red hot, Seattle's red hot. I think DC is the only team that can knock out the Red Bulls in Atlanta. To be honest with you,
the only thing that slows down, I think, Seattle and DC is the fact the playoffs are stretched out for like 40 days. There are these pauses in it, and I think that could potentially slow them down. Now, with DC, I think Wayne Rooney is no doubt your MVP. He's completely turned around the club. They are hosting a playoff game. Like, it was just enough to get to the playoffs, but the fact that they're hosting one is a big deal. I think this could be a scary team to watch. I would not want to play them. And if I'm Atlanta, that's probably the team I want to play least. Because you have 2 different, teams. One out of the gate, Atlanta, one of the favorites, and then you have DC United, who come out of nowhere mid-season, make one big signing, and
it's the beauty of MLS, though, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if it's the beauty, but it's just the thing that makes MLS so different. You can make just one signing, and boom, you're the 4th seed with a chance to win the league championship.
Yeah, meanwhile, the 71 points, I mean, just think about it. DC, if they go on to win MLS Cup, finish 20 points behind the Red Bulls. 20. And do we say DC was the best team in MLS for that season? Yes or no? Does MLS Cup reflect the best team of that season?
In popular culture, and I would say in everyone else's mind, in our minds, yes.
Jake?
Does MLS Cup, the winner of MLS Cup, reflect who the best team was over the course of the season?
Yes.
Is that's the question we're asking here?
Yes.
No. No, because it's like look at it.
But Jake, who do you remember?
Okay, yeah, the team who hosts the trophy. Well, obviously that's going to be the case in any scenario. The team who hosts the trophy, because they're the one who gets the grand moment of celebration and all that stuff. But you can't look at me in the eye and tell me that if Philadelphia Union wins MLS Cup this year, we're going to go, wow, best team in MLS this year, I guess, Philadelphia Union. Or if Real Salt Lake with their -3 goal differential and finishing with 49 points, who needed a miracle collapse from the LA Galaxy at home to get into the playoffs. You can't look me in the eye. If Real Salt Lake wins MLS Cup and goes, best team, man, Mike Petke. That he coached the best team in MLS this year, man. That was the best team. Come on.
Does that make MLS flawed, or does that make MLS
Yes, that makes but that's any pro sport in this country.
No, I disagree. I think NBA typically reflects it. The NHL, it's a crapshoot. Baseball,
yes, and the NHL's a crapshoot, so the best team doesn't always win in the NHL.
Yeah, but the football, National Football League, I think the best team typically goes on to win it for that particular season.
What? What about your Patriots that lost to the 9-7 Giants that were the 6th seed in the NFC that won in 2007?
There are exceptions to the rule, Jake.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
I mean,
so unless Atlanta or New York Red Bull wins MLS Cup, I don't think this is going to. I don't think the Cup winner is the best team in MLS. I think the cup winner is the team that performed the best from November and December. That's all that means. Like I said, if Philadelphia Union win MLS Cup, are you guys going to come on the show in mid-December and say, you know what, looking back in the season, man, that was a good Union team, man. That they were one of the best teams in MLS.
What do you got against Union, man?
Because they have 50 points. You can say the same thing with Real Salt Lake. These aren't good teams. You aren't going to these teams, they aren't going to advance far. You know this. Especially Real Salt Lake. I should be picking on them more so than Philadelphia Union.
Yeah, stop picking on my Union, man.
Who do you think MLS wants to win this MLS Cup? Like, is it in the best interest for one of the big teams to go on to win it? Say a Red Bulls, Atlanta, a Seattle.
Oh, dude, they would want Atlanta to win it, no? Atlanta or LA or Seattle, one of those three. You get Atlanta,
DC.
you keep base.
I think DC would be a good one.
Yeah, it's probably LAFC, Seattle, DC, NYCFC, Atlanta. That's probably who they want to win.
Well, Red Bulls.
Yes.
But the Red Bulls don't spend money.
No, but what Red Bulls do, I think they create an image for the league of a model and a model franchise to follow. So European clubs look at Red Bulls and be like, they're doing something right. Look at the youth that they're developing.
I mean, they are doing something right, to be quite honest.
They are clearly doing something great. I mean, I think Red Bulls are the model franchise of MLS. I don't think they're...
I agree. I agree 100%, Steven.
Even if Red Bulls wins it, I don't think it makes them gives them a better example of the model franchise. I mean, six extra games? What is it? I mean, that isn't...
So would you consider them a model franchise now without the MLS Cup?
They are a model franchise. Winning MLS Cup doesn't need to validate them as, that's a model franchise. They already develop youth. They get kids to play. They're always good. I think they are the model franchise in MLS.
So let me ask you all this. Biggest disappointment from Decision Day. Is it consensus that Galaxy couldn't make it into the playoffs?
Absolutely. Especially when they go up 2-0. 2-0 is the most dangerous lead to have in all of sports. In at least soccer and the NHL. But a 2-0 lead at halftime and you crap yourself like that at home against the Houston freaking Dynamo. What are you doing? I think Ibra leaves. I don't think he liked his time here in MLS. He's had a unbelievable season, a record-setting season. But the Galaxy just failed him in not putting the right pieces around him. And when we had Kobe Jones on the show and we asked him, is Ibra coming? And he laughed because he knew something. He wasn't going to give it to us. I'm surprised at the time that they did not set up their squad in advance to bring in somebody like an Ibra to try to be more successful and not have to worry about being out of the playoffs on Decision Day rather than, you could have rested Ibra for the playoffs.
No, Steven, you're right. You're definitely right. I mean, what was that, about a month? When we had Kobe Jones on, he made that remark of, I could tell you, but I have to kill you, when you asked him if Ibra's coming to LA Galaxy. And that was probably about a month and a half
6
before
weeks,
it was announced.
I don't know, something like that.
They had, if Kobe Jones knew 6 weeks prior to Ibrahimovic signing with the LA Galaxy, well, the front office probably knew, probably even before then. So I think the front office definitely deserves a ton of blame. If you knew Ibrahimovic, I can't say his name right now for some reason. If you knew he was coming to MLS and was going to sign with your club, wouldn't you take the necessary steps to kind of solidify your back line?
Oh my God! Don't even get me started. The Galaxy are one of the worst front franchises in MLS. The back line was awful. They spent big money, quote unquote, on terrible signings. Michael Ciani, he's awful. Skjelvik, the Norwegian guy, not good.
And they spend a lot of money, too, on those players.
They spend a lot of money on those players. That's the thing. So, I mean, you could throw money at something and expect it to, get better. But these guys are terrible. And then you had the Dos Santos brothers playing like crap. Giovanni playing awful. They need to sell Giovanni. They just need to blow that thing up and actually build a contender. I mean, I would start by going after the Boca Juniors coach, Barros Shalado. Beat him, try to entice him over Atlanta. Don't go after Greg Berhalter. Come on, that guy almost missed the playoffs. That's my disappointment. Just for the memes. if the Crew had missed the playoffs and Berhalter was announced as USA coach, I thought it'd be hilarious and a sad state of where U.S. soccer would be. But man, the Galaxy need to be more ambitious. They just thought Ibra, it can just change save their team.
Well, wait. Pause there for a second. Let's look at Wayne Rooney's situation and Ibra's situation. Did DC United build a team around Wayne Rooney and the thoughts of him coming? How does Wayne Rooney come to DC United and literally drag the club from bottom of the Eastern Conference to the 4th seed? Meanwhile, Ibra goes to the LA Galaxy, who were probably mid-table on the playoff bubble when he came, and somehow they missed the playoffs. Like there should be an analysis on what the front office did when they brought in a superstar like this. And was Ibra's ego in the way of the Galaxy while Wayne Rooney's team first philosophy, and I'm not saying Ibra's a bad teammate, but he had a lot of baggage coming around. Like, that's a tough situation with all the Hollywood, all the late night show stuff, all the flossing he did on the James Jordan, whatever the show is called. Is there a situation in which front offices look at these superstars and go, I don't know if I want them on my team because of all the baggage that they bring?
With Rooney, though, it's kind of... I would say Rooney enhanced the players on his team. Does that make sense? Like, Lucho Acosta wasn't a bad signing when they got him, but he really brought the best out of him. I think Areola, especially, Kanoos, Durkin, they've all been pretty solid. With the Galaxy, I feel like it just threw Ibrahimovic into the lineup, if that makes sense. They kind of messed around with Ola Kamara being a wing when he's not good at being a wing at all. He's better at being a forward. Dos Santos has been on the low and it's been terrible. I don't know if they're really building around Rooney, and I don't think Zlatan's ego got in the way. I think just the Galaxy had a bunch of not matching parts, and it was kind of just like a messed up puzzle, and they were just trying to fit things that weren't there.
No doubt. Jake, hold on to your thought. We're gonna take a quick break here, listeners, and we'll be back with some playoff talk. All right, let's talk some playoff, guys. Now, listeners, we know Armand's got a crappy mic, so bear with us until he buys a new one. But the playoffs, Armand, can you tell us what the first round matchups are going to be?
Yeah. So, first round matchups in the Eastern Conference, we have New York City hosting Philadelphia and DC hosting Columbus. In the Western Conference, we'll have LAFC hosting Real Salt Lake and FC Dallas hosting Portland Timbers. SKC, Seattle on byes in the West. Red Bulls, Atlanta on byes in the East.
According to 538, Atlanta's still the favorite to win the Cup. Red Bulls a close second. Actually, no, never mind. They are exactly tied to win the MLS Cup. 5 percentage points behind them is Sporting KC, and then then Seattle at 9%. So Atlanta and Red Bulls, guys, it's a coin flip. Let's play a little buy or sell here. Are you buying that Atlanta or the Red Bulls win MLS Cup, or are you taking the field?
Jake, you want to start?
I'll take the field.
Over Atlanta and Red Bulls, the two single-handedly the most productive teams in this league, and quite honestly, one of the two best seasons ever. I know Atlanta didn't hit the 70 points mark, but they're up there on the top 5 as most points in one season.
I think, as Armand has said, most notably in our interview with Bobby Warshaw, Atlantic can't really break down bunker ball, and that's kind of what teams play in the MLS playoffs. And
Tournament football.
I think tournament football, and I think with Red Bull's recent history of not really winning when it matters the most, I'm not exactly sold on them either. So I look at teams. I look at Seattle. I think we've said on this show already. I don't think there's a team in the Western Conference that wants to run into that buzzsaw. And I look at DC United. And I think there are a lot of teams in the East that also don't want to run into that buzzsaw. So, yeah, I'm going to take the field on this one. I think that there are a lot of teams in the West that we're overlooking.
Tweet us, listeners, if you would take the field or Atlanta or the Red Bulls Uncle Sam Soccer Pod. Armand, who are you taking? Field or the two favorites?
So here's what I'm going to do. As a guy who I've learned a lot through watching a lot of MLS. I think all y'all know that. I'm going to go look at the form of teams, and I'm going to pick. So, based on form, you know who the hottest teams in MLS are right now?
DC. Seattle.
Red Bull, DC, and Seattle. And I'd say SKC as well. Saying that, I genuinely believe in the Red Bulls this year, so I will buy on Red Bulls in Atlanta. All right. I believe in them. I think it's going to make for a fascinating playoffs in the Eastern Conference. That three-horse race between DC, Atlanta, and Red Bull. I think it's going to make for some really fun soccer. I think we're not going to – whatever happens, I think the viewer is going to be winning in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, I think that's a real interesting point. Now, what about the dark horse or a team that you think we should be paying attention to? And I'm going to say FC Dallas is a team to follow.
My God, no way.
Here's get this, Armand. Here's why. I think Oscar Pereira is tactically sound. Now, can Oscar Pereira master tournament football? That's the real question. They host Portland. It's a team that everybody last season said, if they were to sneak into the playoffs, when I think was it Wondolowski that got San Jose into the playoffs last season. Well, if FC Dallas had snuck into the playoffs, that's a team nobody wants to play. I still believe that. I do genuinely think Dallas is a team that a lot of clubs don't want to play just because you do have a tactical master on the sideline in Oscar Pereira. And with tournament football, for a couple of games, you can do creative things to get by. You really can. You don't necessarily have to have the most talent. You need to have the right talent in the right positions, and I think Dallas have some working parts that could allow them to be somewhat successful in the playoffs and maybe go around further than people thought of beforehand.
I don't see that. I think Dallas is just falling apart right now. 3 straight losses, and one against Colorado. Last thing I won against DC. Just a poor performance against SKC and allowing 2 late goals against Colorado. It's tough for me to see that. My dark horse would be Crew. I think the Columbus Crew. Call me wild, but the top 3 teams in the Eastern Conference, I think Atlanta struggled against Columbus. I think NYC, they all think Greg Berhalter is a tough coach. Go ahead.
Wait. But if Dallas is in such crappy form, and if the bottom falls out again, is Oscar Pereira on the hot seat then?
Here's my thing. I don't think so.
That makes no sense to me. If they fall out last season and they again fall out this season, a team that people have predicted and this season could have gotten a bye, right? Should have probably gotten a bye. Then how is Oscar Pereira not on the hot seat from the front office? Then there is something wrong with that organization. Front office.
There is something wrong with this organization.
Yeah, but the fact that they start off so brilliantly and they seem to coast through the
They don't make signings, Steven. I think we talked about this, but they don't make true signings. They just let go of players. Let go of Mauro Diaz. You let go of Kellen Costa for Baji, who's been pretty meh. You let go of these guys. You don't bring in adequate replacements, or you don't play the adequate replacements that you have brought in. So, when teams like Seattle are buying Rui Diaz, when teams like Red Bull, they're calling up the Red Bull 2 players, getting them some minutes, they're consistent good. When teams like DC are getting Rooney, when other teams are making some sort of impact move, Dallas isn't doing that. That's part of their issue. Just my quick thought.
Well, I still think they're a dangerous team to watch in the playoffs just because Oscar Pereira has some sort of sense of what he's doing with tactics. Now, Jake, dark horse.
Well, Armand kind of stole my touchdown call there. I was going to say the Columbus Crew just because it, just based off of last year, it looks like a Greg Berhalter managed side, does very well in tournament football. But I guess for sake of this segment, I'll throw out another team. Let's go with the LAFC.
Ooh.
They got Bob Bradley. Name. Bob Bradley's manager. I mean, Bob Bradley's been a very successful manager throughout his career. He's won, he won an MLS Cup with the expansion side Chicago Fire, albeit 20 some odd years ago.
98.
98. But you just look at LAFC. They have all the attacking talent up front with Carlos Vela and Diego Rossi. And then on the back line, too, you got Walker Zimmerman back there holding things down for them as well. And one key thing to look at, I think, with teams when it comes to MLS Cup is how do they perform on the road? LAFC, and granted, it's not a glamorous record, but 7-8-2. They have shown they can get some wins on the road, which, looking at, say, the Columbus Crew, for example, 3-9-5. So I'm going to circle LAFC as my team to watch.
Great point. Jake, who has the best road record in MLS?
It looks to me like Atlanta does at 10-5-2.
Who's got the second best?
Looks like New York Red Bull, 8-5-4.
Okay, just round us the top 5.
Well, it's a little...
it would probably be Atlanta, Red Bull,
SKC and Seattle.
SKC, Seattle, LAFC.
Do we know that for a fact, or are we just speculating?
Yes, I'm looking at the stands right now. That's right. It. And the other thing too about LAFC is they have a pretty good home field advantage there at Bank of California Stadium with the 3252 supporter section. So I think they're a team you should keep your eye on.
Yeah, no, it's interesting to look at the road and home splits because MLS playoffs are different and it's over 2 legs. And this is something that FC Dallas falls in the trap of, is that they are always typically on the road as a higher seed, and this happens across the league. You play on the road first, and then you play at home. Well, the home team typically has that advantage. So if they can get a 2-0 lead, then you're chasing in the second game, and you're the higher seed, and you somehow have home field advantage, and you're already down. To me, it's kind of baffling in that system that there's really, apart from MLS Cup in the first round of the playoffs, do you necessarily have a home field advantage like you see in hosting a Game 7 or hosting, in National Football League? You just play the game at home, and it's one, or you win and move on, or you lose and you go home. So interesting. MLS playoffs can be exciting this year, guys. All right, before we get to Josh Babetski, let's put our tinfoil hats on and let's predict the match on December 8th. The match to play for MLS Cup. And Armand, let's begin with you.
Oh, wow, we're starting with me. I'm going to go Red Bulls, Seattle Sounders.
Jake?
I also will go Red Bull, Seattle Sounders.
I, too, will pick Seattle to represent the Western Conference, but I think DC United is just a team of destiny. Wayne Rooney is going to show everyone up. We're going to have to write 12 million apology letters to him, particularly Jake and Armand. You can begin. I know you already began a couple of weeks ago, but continue writing those apology letters as he's going to go on to MLS Cup. But it will be, in fact, Seattle that lifts it. So, yeah, MLS playoffs. Who really knows what's going to happen because it's such a crapshoot? I guess it's some of you love it, others don't for that reason. We'll see. But up next, Josh Babetski.
Joining us on the show is the president and founder of Austin Anthem, formerly MLS in Austin. He is Josh Babetski. You can find Josh Babetski on Twitter at Quixado. That's Quixado. Josh, how you doing?
Doing well. Thanks for having me back on the program, Dan.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. Let's dive right into this. Kind Can you give us your thoughts on the news that came out of Columbus 2 weeks ago with the Crew potentially being sold to a local ownership group, while Austin will still get a club under Precourt Sports Venture?
I think in one word, premature. I think in two words, premature but hopeful. I think it would be great if that came to fruition, but I think it's way too early in the game for the victory lap that it's being presented online and apparently in some circles in Ohio.
Were you surprised by the news?
I think so, because it wasn't really well-rounded news. You can definitely tell there was an error. Our assumption is the Columbus partnership leaked it in some way, shape, or form, trying to, generate some awareness that, they were trying to do something after, many months of silence. Clearly it looked like the league and the parties involved weren't ready to talk about it and say anything. And just given the size and scope of a transaction like this, it just seems like it was really, really too early to kind of have that large public conversation, which has kind of been deemed like it's a done deal. But I think there's a lot of risk in it, and it could be far off. But hopefully it happens.
On the Austin side of things, Josh, we had you on in August. You were really confident that there'd be an MLS team playing in Austin come 2019. Are you still confident that it's going to be 2019, or are we looking more realistically like at a 2020 or something like that?
It's like a decision matrix chart. If the Haslam deal doesn't happen, or all of a sudden Columbus can't pony up a stadium site that the league will sign off on, I think 2019 happens if they move the roster and basically just, relocate the Crew, which was kind of assumed what was going to happen. I think if the deal has legs and there's really strong indicators of a stadium site and that the deal, is going to happen, I think then Austin probably moves to 2020 or 2021, and then we just stay with continuity of a team in Columbus. So I think it really kind of depends on how some of this stuff plays out. So I would say I'm less confident that 19 is going to happen, but more 100% confident that it's going to happen and a team is going to come to Austin, whether it's 2019, 20, or 21.
Are you just kind of building off of the last question Armand just asked? Are you disappointed then that there potentially won't be a team in Austin in 2019, or is this kind of just, hey, we're going to get a team, and whether that's next year or the following year, MLS is coming to Austin?
Yeah, I think it's the latter. When I had originally drafted what I guess has become known as the Pelican brief of the speculation back in February 2017 that Columbus was a flight risk, our thought had been timing would be somewhere around 2022. So from my perspective, I'm still well ahead of the curve that I thought it was going to take for a club to settle in here in Austin, Texas. So it's not really a matter of disappointment. If another city is able to kind of keep a club going, and if that means that we're waiting another year or so, that's fine. And it's even better for us because then it's a kind of more of a clean slate. It's our team from the get-go. It's not this other team that really came from somewhere else, even though, like, on paper, technically we're still going to be the MLS franchise, and I guess Columbus would be the expansion slotted team. So it's kind of like a weird San Jose Houston thing, except it could be backward where the team actually stays there as an expansion and the relocated team takes a couple of years to actually start playing.
With all that's going on, we've seen the Austin supporters group kind of I guess vilified, I think is the right word, by on Twitter, on other modes of social media. Do you feel like now with the news that, hey, Columbus is still going to have their team, Austin's going to have their team as well, potentially, do you guys see yourself not really as villains amongst MLS fans anymore?
Well, it was always a small group anyway. You're always going to have the keyboard warriors from, big soccer who, think they've got the whole system figured out. And, they have their expert plan for pro rel and how things are all going to work. So there's always some level of that. Even if, there hadn't been no relocation, there would be other cities than just, talking smack. I think it does provide the opportunity now that there's going to be a little more time and a little more reason to talk about the Austin side of this whole saga and this whole story. And hopefully there'll be some more awareness and some more investigative looks, into just, really the issues and challenges with efforts that happened in Columbus through efforts and challenges that happened out here in Austin. We were never really worried about it. Again, it was always kind of like a small group of fans here and there. The couple of yellow towels or scarves, being, swung around in various places, which apparently triggered some people the last time I was on the program. And you're always going to have some level of that. But, I think it's the outcome is probably going to work out best for everyone. So, I'm sure that'll dial down some of it.
Do you think this starts a national rivalry between Columbus and Austin, or do you think people just don't care now that Columbus are staying? Because the last 6 months, kind of, to go off what Armand said and what we've been discussing on the show is, the last 6 months there's kind of been this hatred between, I guess, maybe a lot of MLS fans, particular Columbus Crew fans, against the Austin fans. And it could be more of a natural rivalry rather than what Jake likes to call these forced rivalries that you see in the league.
I certainly think there'll be a more organic element to it, right? Because there's always going to be that, well, this could have played out a lot differently kind of aspect to it. I'm hopeful to, because you see a lot more of these kind of created rivalries rather than organic ones, and I think certainly this one would fall into that category. I hope. I think it's a good thing for Columbus too, because now they're going to be all that scrutiny that was going to be shown to Austin around performance and seats, attendance, and things like that for relocating a team is now going to be put on them. We're going to take advantage of our first shot at MLS, so they damn well better take really good care of their second opportunity, because it's not going to be a third. And now you've got these 12,000 pledges of season tickets, and all the huff and bluster of a community, and they're rightly in the passionate effort to save a club. Now they're going to have to deliver on it.
Josh, I saw this kind of roll through my Twitter feed I don't know if it was yesterday or 2 days ago. Can you give us your thoughts on the Circuit of America's petition to have a public vote on the McCalla place?
Yeah. So there's Austin politics is like kind of a weird animal. It's not like corrupt politicians where you slide them, envelopes full of money and you just get things taken care of. It's just like it's a weird political structure that's kind of evolved over the years. And you have like these pockets of NIMBYs, not in my backyard, typically older voters that are against really the change and the progress that Austin has. We're like one of the fastest growing cities in the country. We're on the top of every top of list, but if you lived here for 40 years, some of that change hasn't been as welcome. So there's a small group that is, kind of against any kind of real progress in the city. And they're kind of protesters for hire. And they had stopped the kind of a zoning development program to modernize the city a little while ago. So apparently the Circuit of the Americas people behind that have, basically bankrolled them to create opposition. And initially it was this dark money, but a bunch of our members had been digging into this for months. We even sent it to the press of like, you guys really should, or they have, sent it to the press. We should, you really look into this kind of thing. And I guess, they decided to go out and go public with it because it was already pretty well known and more people were starting to report on it. It's unfortunate and it's shady because it's really denying them an opportunity to have the greater soccer fan base here in Austin support potentially USL and MLS. And it's really now it's kind of just they really set fire to that.
Right. So Josh, what you're saying is they're kind of just burning that bridge, between y'all especially, and because I know you guys talk about wanting to support all Austin professional soccer, whether it be USL or MLS. But I mean, you guys are obviously for more MLS. Are you saying they've kind of burned that bridge, or starting to burn that bridge between the two sides?
It seems to be their tactic and their position. I will, we had a team of, actually we had a large group of supporters go out and support the women's UT soccer match the other day in the Red River rivalry on the soccer pitch a few weeks ago. We're all involved in lots of different soccer organizations across town. Most of our members belong to an EPL or a Liga MX SG in town. So we're very well integrated. And obviously, yes, our focus is on the MLS club. And our ideal is we support all soccer here in Austin. But when you have an organization that's actively trying to undermine that goal, it's very hard to have the soccer community then reciprocate that support back.
Josh, one last question before we let you go. I don't know about you, but to me, it seems like we might finally be at the finish line in terms of this Columbus Austin FC saga. You might disagree. I'm not sure, but to me, it kind of seems like we're at that end now. I know you've mentioned that this has kind of been a 5-year process for you, trying to get a team to Austin. How does it feel to see that it's finally coming to fruition?
It's been exciting. Obviously, it's been tumultuous. There's been a lot of twists and turns along this saga, but I think myself and our team and our membership are very optimistic about the future, and we're having. You're absolutely right about our 5th anniversary will actually be the day after the MLS final. We've annually thrown a watch party for the MLS Cup match, where we also do a charity drive for Toys for Tots since it's in December. And we'll also be celebrating our 5th anniversary as an SG. So there is a lot to celebrate. I think to the question of being at the end of this saga, I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that something gets done in Columbus. I think the timing is really going to determine whether or not that roster comes here and plays for a while, or they continue to play out in Columbus, even if maybe all the deals aren't, the I's aren't dotted and T's aren't crossed. And I think that would be great. That's still a win. Austin is absolutely getting an MLS team. Whether we wait another year or two for it I'm fine with that concession. If another city is able to kind of hold on and keep their team, I just hope they take good care of it. What I'm hoping that is everybody that was for Save the Crew should now be for Austin FC, because absolutely their destiny is tied to Austin, Texas. There is no way PSV is giving up their rights to an MLS club without having Austin 100% secured by both the league and the city. There doesn't seem to be any drama here with the paperwork getting done. I believe the deal's contract's done, but there's a resting period before they can actually close on it. But if the people of Columbus want to be and want an end to the PSV era, they should all be rooting and cheering for MLS to finally announce Austin FC officially, because that is the milestone that stands in front of them, welcoming a new era of ownership, theoretically with the Edwards and Haslam group, and hopefully another 20 some years of soccer within Columbus.
Well, Josh, just wanted to thank you, but I just had to throw this question out there. Out of the 2 Texas teams, which city does Austin hate more, Dallas or Houston?
San Antonio. No, actually, I totally forgot those guys were down there during all this saga. I don't know. Probably Frisco, just because it's even more of a pain to get to, because you have to go through Dallas and you get all the way to South Oklahoma to get there. That's no real. I think rivalry wise, I think obviously it'll always be interesting because you get more road visitors when we play Houston or Dallas. But I think, as mentioned before, I think playing Columbus every year, because I imagine we'll be a Western Conference team, so we'll only play each other probably once per season. I think Nashville's got an interesting thing, a music derby, a little more constructed there, but I think, we're a lot of like-minded folks. I think going up to Portland will be a lot of fun, and then coming down here. I just you kind of look at the 2 other Texas teams, and, we get this comparison a lot of people go, oh, well, attendance is bad in Dallas and attendance isn't great in Houston and the ones downtown, but they're totally different markets, as Armand and, can attest to. Austin is a very different animal here in Texas. So we really don't think of it in terms of like these are our sister cities. They just happen to be like other metros that have a team in Texas. So I think it remains to be seen which one kind of will reveal itself as our arch rival. The Dallas Beer Guardians, we have a lot of common friends in some of their things. And so we'll have to see what happens, but I don't think we have a clear vibe other than the drive to Dallas sucks, or the drive to South Oklahoma sucks more than going to Houston.
I understand. Driving in Texas is a pain. But, Josh, we appreciate it. Let the listeners know where we can follow you on Twitter, or if you wanted to plug anything else related to Austin, MLS, soccer related.
Yeah, no, if you're interested in following along the continuing adventures of Austin supporters as we march towards getting our first MLS club, you can check us out at austinanthem.org. And we are also on all the social networks at Austin Anthem. We've got people signing up from all over the country. We have a lot of interest. People are super excited about coming to Austin, Texas. And, we're welcoming all. We are building an inclusive supporters group. So no matter where you're from, or, what your background is, or you're new to soccer, been following it forever, you're welcome to be a part of our organization and sign on up and follow us for more info.
Thanks again, Josh.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks again. Big shout out to Josh for joining us. Fellas, before we get to the counterattack here quickly, regarding Austin and the Crew, is this a rivalry that it has a really weird dynamic between the fan bases and could potentially be one of the better rivalries in MLS? And Jake, I'm going to give this to you because you're all about the fake rivalries.
Yeah, this is the first authentic rivalry in MLS. I just want to come out and say that.
Okay.
Because I hate rivalries so much in MLS because they're so forced and, I guess, man-made, if you will. This is the first one with the fan bases hate each other. I don't know if hate obviously because the Crew could potentially move to Austin, or were potentially moved to Austin. We have to use potentially because nothing's been finalized yet. But this is the most authentic rivalry in MLS. Maybe Montreal-Toronto is also a very authentic rivalry too.
Over Seattle, Portland.
Yeah, it's such a BS one. It's like there's nothing about it. It's just like it's basically like saying the Green Bay Packers versus the Chicago Bears is a great rivalry. Like no one, yeah.
No, I think Portland's actually legitimate. IMO.
Well, I just want to make this clear now. Hate mail at Jake Watroba.
Yeah, hate mail.
Yeah, go ahead, send it to me. I don't care if you think that I don't think your rivalry's that great. Sorry.
All right.
I don't know, man. I've been watching these Copa 90 things on Derby days, and it's like you look at like the fan bases and that they hate each other, and it's just so passionate. And then I look at MLS, and it's like New York's blue, New York's red. Yeah, no one shows up to our games. There's no passion. It's so lame. Or
wow, that hurt me.
Yeah, I think that rhymed.
It's so, or the Texas Derby, whatever. Like no one. Yeah, I'm sure Armand, the FC Dallas fan here on the show, really can't stand Houston Dynamo. Like,
Not a fan.
Oh man,
I'm a reporter.
If I see the color orange, it just drives me nuts. Like, come on, get out of here. There's nothing political about it. Most of these rivalries in MLS, it's just some BS fabricated thing that we gotta hate. We have to have these rivalries because they do it in every other sport. Boston's gotta hate New York.
Okay, Boston genuinely hates New York. Screw the Yankees. All right, and Armand Kafai is not a fan. He's an MLS fanboy, but he is not a fan, apparently. That's what I just found out. You said you were not a fan, you're a reporter.
Yeah, fanboy is... Yeah, I'm a reporter. Fanboy is Jake's name for being a nerd.
He's an MLS fanboy is what he is.
Oh, okay. That's so cool. Yeah, dude, who cares, man?
Well, okay, we're moving on.
In Austin, Columbus, who cares?
All right, cool. Anyway, let's get to the counterattack with Jake Watroba.
Fast-paced, shifty movement, brilliant skill. It's the counterattack with Jake Watroba.
All right, boys, it's counterattack time here on Uncle Sam's Soccer Podcast. We got 3 topics for discussion today. This is going to be a U.S. men's national team centric.
Yes.
Counterattack with Jake Watroba.
My favorite, you already know.
Yeah, you're all about the hot takes. You're all about the hot takes, most notably from last week's episode. Let's dive right in. Let's start with Kim McCauley. Kim reported on her Twitter account on October 26th that she has confirmed that there have been 5 managers not interviewed for the U.S. men's national team job. They are as follows: Peter Vermees, Oscar Pereira, Jesse Marsh, Tata Martino, and Juan Carlos Osorio. Guys, we are now, a year into this managerial search?
Year plus, and I know for Armand, there are a couple names on this list that he has earmarked as guys that deserving for this job. What do you make of U.S. Soccer's? God, I don't even know what the hell you want to describe this ineptitude here. Can
Soccer.
Can I play devil's advocate for a second?
Yeah, go ahead.
Would it be possible that some of these coaches genuinely don't want the position and told them to don't even bother contacting me because U.S. soccer is such a mess that they don't want to be part of it?
No, because wasn't there the report that Peter Vermees was approached by them at one point in the summer or spring?
Oscar would take the job in a heartbeat. I'll just say that right now. If they offered him the job, he would take it in a heartbeat.
Armand knows something you don't.
Wait, okay, keep going, Armand. Expand on that then.
It's one of the things that he talks pridefully about. He just when he talks about developing the youth and all this stuff, I feel like in my eyes that he sees that U.S. men's national team job as something of, hey, I love the United States. I love the talent that it has. I believe this country can be better than what it is right now. I think it's the one job that he would take over the FC Dallas job. Either that or the Colombia job. I think we'd take it in a heartbeat. It's not even a matter of, if Oscar was in that consideration, it's not a matter of if he would. It's if they said, hey, we want you to take a job, he'd be like, all right, when? He wouldn't question it. That's how much he's dedicated to U.S. soccer. That's the type of guy he is. Oscar would definitely take the job. I think that's BS. I think it's a garbage USSF just being incompetent and wanting to hire Greggy.
Armand, you're gonna have the blog boys going over this one.
Wait, what? It's pretty obvious that he wants the job. No,
I don't know. I'm not.
I think it's obvious that he wants the job. I think it's the way he talks. Everyone wants him to be the coach of U.S. soccer, and I feel like he'd be a good one too. Just my hot sports take.
Oscar would be a change, be different.
No, he'd be a great coach because he's bilingual and knows how to cultivate talent.
Well, yeah, exactly. A change. He'd be different. He'd be different. He knows how to work with less
because it's FC Dallas team. They're not the most expensive team on the thing. Oh, they spend a little bit of money on this. They spend money on not the best players. He's worked with a limited budget. He's bilingual, like I said before. He knows how to work with the youth, like I said before. He's worked in MLS. He's worked in U.S. soccer. He's had success. Checks off all the boxes. I don't know what else. What do you want?
Well, let's keep this U.S. soccer bleep show rolling here because I got another topic here that kind of highlights again U.S. soccer's ineptitude in this whole situation here. Let's another tweet here that highlights U.S. soccer's ineptitude. Our guy Alexi Lawless earlier this week had posted a clip from his show in which he's discussing if you had the choice, would you hire Pep Guardiola or Greg Berhalter? And then he also lists Peter Vermees, Bob Bradley, Jesse Marsh, Oscar Pereira as well. Lawless's argument essentially is we don't know how good of a manager Greg Berhalter is because he's never had to manage the talent that a manager like Pep Guardiola has throughout his career. So naturally, Lawless posts this to Twitter, and a discussion ensues in which it's really quite funny. In which somebody calls out Alexi Lawless for essentially saying this is David R. McKenney tweets at Alexi, "It's a philosophy and a culture which isn't easy to follow. The blueprint is there, but it's not easy to replicate. If an electrician gave me detailed plans to wire a house, I'm very confident I'd bleep it up. Give Berhalter Barca, I'm sure he'd bleep it up." To which Alexi Lalas replied with, "Are you an electrician?" To which, but it gets better, you guys, to which your president of U.S. Soccer, Carlos Cordero, retweets the tweet.
No, wait. For a moment there, I thought you said Donald Trump, and that would have been just as believable. But wait, he retweeted, "Are you an electrician?"
Yes, and then pulled it down immediately. So,
what?
Let's...
You know what? I give credit for Alexi Lawless. He's highlighting the stupidity of U.S. soccer. Whether he or not he means what he's doing, but he's just doing it. I don't know if it's intentional.
He's also kind of a troll.
Did you see Alexi Lawless's laptop today?
Yes.
Well, for our listeners, he had a MLS and Austin sticker next to a Save the Crew sticker. So there you go, self-aware, on brand.
Let's keep going here because I think we've buried the lead. Carlos Cordero essentially gave away who's going to be the manager of the U.S. men's. Yes, your local electrician is going to be the manager of the men's national team. No, Greg Berhalter sounds like it is going to be the manager of the national team. So, give us your thoughts on Berhalter potentially taking over. I know we've talked about this several times, but give us your thoughts on that. And also, what the hell is Carlos Cordero doing?
Cordero is, quite frankly, he doesn't know what he's doing. He's just throwing darts at a dartboard. He's basically doing what Donald Trump is. Sits on the toilet. Oh, that's a good retweet. I'll retweet that. Oh, I'm going to say this. So that's what Carlos Cordero is doing. Taking a lot of example from the highest office in the United States. And then Mr. Greggy Berhalter, whose brother might be what position is Jake Berhalter running for?
Is he going to be taking over Dan Flynn's position? Was it the chief something, or I don't know what the hell Dan Flynn is. Armand, do you know? What's his official title?
Isn't he the CEO of U.S. Soccer?
Sure, let's go with it.
I hate Dan Flynn. Sorry, Dan Flynn. I don't know you, but my U.S. Soccer's really screwed up. Yeah, Greg Berhalter. I think we've been talking about it for 3 months. He's going to coach or something like that, right?
Why didn't they hire him at the beginning of the season?
I love that we waited a year to hire an MLS coach. I love it. Hook it to my veins.
By the way, Dan Flynn is Chief Executive and Secretary General, who's plans on stepping down. So
I love it. Just hook it up.
I don't know, guys. Imagine waiting a year for an MLS coach.
Yeah, imagine waiting for Greg Berhalter, who almost missed the playoffs today.
This segment has gone as great as U.S. Soccer is being run.
Wow. All right, well, let's move on then.
Wow, that's terrible.
I got one last topic for you. It's not even really U.S. men's national team related. I'm just gonna kind of force it, and see if I can.
Oh no.
I think I can tie this back into the national team.
No, you can't.
Yeah, I can. Watch me. Jossie Zardes scored his 19th goal today for the Columbus Crew. Do you think he's our solution at right back?
All right, well, that wraps today's show.
Just asking for a friend, most notably Bruce Arena.
Ziggy Schmidt.
Oh, Ziggy Schmidt. Anyway, listeners, you can follow us on Twitter, Uncle Sam Soccer Pod, at Armand Kafai, at Jake Watroba, at Steven Jodder. And we'll be back next week with a brilliant episode with another great guest. Shout out to Josh for joining us, giving us the Austin perspective. Give us nothing but 5-star ratings, because that's quite frankly all what we want from you. But send us your thoughts on Twitter. We love the hate mail. So until next time, bye.